Stearns will be now telling you about more recent history.
Thank you, Mr. Ida. Good evening, family, friends, and the graduating class of 2010. I'm sure most of you are ready to jump into your new futures, but take a step back because I am here to remind you all about our past. Of course, there is the larger past. We are the 100th class to graduate from Pleasant Hill. There is also the more recent past, which is closer to our hearts. The last 13 years, which many of us have spent together. For some of us, our journey began just around the corner in the preschool center. Teacher Ellen taught us the basics in finger painting, table manners, and duck, duck, goose. With these basic lessons under our belt, we moved on to kindergarten. Homework was optional, and we only had to come to school every other day. A philosophy we readapted during our senior year. Mrs. Graham, Mrs. Irwin, and Mrs. Higgins welcomed us with open arms. We rode the bus to and from school and lived in fear of Pat, the strict driver of Bus E. First grade started, and we were big kids now. We came to school every day and had real homework. The best prank to play back then occurred in the hand washing line. After you were done washing your hands, you would turn the hot water all the way up for the person behind you. Recess was where it was at. Jeff Carr formed the Squash the Bug Club, and Allison Helser quickly formed a counter movement, the Anti-Squash the Bug Club. Katie Watkins and Kelsey Windsor played horses, and of course, there was our favorite version of tag, Girls Chase Boys. A lot of girls chased Jeff Brink in pursuit of one of his fuzzy dinosaur stickers that meant he loved you. As we moved to third grade, we learned more sophisticated games like tetherball and foursquare. To pass the time waiting in line for these games, we entertained ourselves with string games like Cat's Cradle. And who could forget Pokemon cards? The playground was abandoned, and people huddled in groups, swapping Pikachus and Charmeleons. In fourth grade, we left Trent for the new elementary school. Our classrooms were nice, but the playground was not quite as awesome. This year, we were introduced to a positive behavior program designed to making behaving sound like something cool. CARS. That is, cooperation, academic excellence, respect, and safety. This is the first in a long line of positive behavior programs. Every time we switch schools, they throw a new one at us. Maybe it's because none of them are actually working. In junior high, it was RAMS. Then they ditched the cute acronyms for Billy Pride. Safety, respect, responsibility, and academic achievers. Spelling out SRAW. What the heck? In high school, they decided to go with something everyone could remember. PHHS. Well, anyways, back to fourth grade. We learned that if we raised enough money during school fundraisers, our teachers would reward us by doing something publicly humiliating in front of the entire school. When we reached our goal for the jogathon, our principal, Dr. Fritz, kissed a pig. As soon as his lips had left the pig, hundreds of screaming kids rushed down the field, hands outreached, to pet the poor squealing animal. Fifth grade was full of fun. Each classroom had their own currency. Mackenzie money, Coradio cash, and Nelson bucks. Market days were the highlights of the year when we got to trade in our free money for goods and services. You could buy fake facial hair from Nick Newson and Mark Lejeune. Or stop by Lauren Wilson's booth for a crazy hairdo, complete with tinfoil and pipe cleaners. Jeff Brink conned us all by buying other students' stuff and then turning around and selling it for triple the price. In sixth grade, we had the time of our lives at outdoor school, where our counselors with names like Flip, Peter Pan, and Tinkerbell taught us cool songs and performed fun skits. This is where Allison Helser, Jessica Way, Kendra Chambers, and myself gained our claim to fame as the Gremlin Girls. A reputation we struggled to shake off even in high school. Puberty brought our most awkward change yet as we entered junior high. Members of the opposite sex no longer had cooties. All the girls pined after Levi Davis, while the guys chased Kayla Juby. Well, that much hasn't changed. We attended our first school dances, though they were hardly dances, since everyone just stood around waiting for those infamous words. Snowball. In Explore, we did everything from art projects to home ec. Mrs. Stevenson taught us basic kitchen safety guidelines, but these did not sink in with Stephen Clevenger, who decided the best way to clean the electric mixer would be to submerge it in water and turn it on. We also got our first experience with the democratic process during class elections. There was a large following of Becker believers, even if you did lose. In high school, we figured out that no one had to lose, as long as each candidate was the only one running. Much to our dismay, the junior high closed and we were sent back to the elementary school for our 8th grade year. It was a disgrace. We had no lockers for the first half of the year. There was no more chewing gum in class. And worst of all, we were going to school with 5th graders. However, the year was not without highlights. Mr. Gary Smith's PE class will remember Kyle Starner getting kicked out of the locker room during a real emergency lockdown. Or Jacob Shadwick throwing up in Mrs. Fresky's sink. Or how about the talent show, when Austin Carroll performed Fever and gave Principal Miss Ritter a lap dance. Oh, but were we ready to move on? And high school was the next big adventure. As freshmen, we were back to learning the basics. We ate in the DP room and spent a lot of time walking circles around the halls. But that all changed when we started getting our driver's licenses. Some people, like Taylor Wyman, got their license right off the bat, while others, like Mark Lejeune, failed the test at least 7 times. High school was full of new experiences, sporting events, homecoming traditions, electives, new friends, clubs, and first jobs. Our high school years also coincided with a lot of change in the school district. Our sophomore year, the school switched to block schedule. At first, an hour-and-a-half classes sounded like torture, and well, some of them were. But most of us found that we liked the schedule because it gave us time to catch up and let the information sink in. Then, our senior year, Trent Primary School closed, and 7th and 8th graders moved to high school. This raised alarms for some, but I think most of us were so excited about being seniors we didn't really care. Senior year was full of lasts. Our last homecoming and prom, our school's last year competing in the 4A League against our arch rival, Marist, and our last days of school, which have led up to this day. Now, all we have left to do is walk across the stage and throw our hats in the air, the 100th class to do so. We have come all this way together, and whether you look back on high school as some of the best years of your life or some of the worst, there is no doubt we will always share a connection to this place. As you go out into the world, remember your roots. Congratulations, class of 2010. We made it.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Now I would like to introduce Dana Clark, who will be speaking about the